Hey Patty, here I am. Welcome to my studio. I'm making a video for you. So, I've been thinking about this video for a while. So I'm just gonna start. Um, I got the challenge that I was seeking, that I was asking for. I went on my trip this week. I just got back today. I drank coffee this morning, and I never drink coffee, so I'm really hyper from that still. It's like 6 p.m. now, 7 hours. So anyway, I went on my trip this week, this for about 6 or 7 days, and went all up on the coast to Eureka and down to Fort Bragg, and I met up with a friend, and then I stayed in a Japanese Buddhist monastery for a couple days. But before I went on my trip, I worked way too hard on this moving job, and like was in the car driving there and back for like an hour, and I hurt my back. I just worked too hard, and my back was hurting really bad. So the whole trip, I was dealing with like pretty intense like sciatic lower back pain, and it was extremely challenging. But it didn't. It kind of painted my whole trip in this lens. It was kind of a very melancholy trip in general. The California West Coast is kind of droll. I mean, similar to the Oregon coast, I'm sure. It was rainy. It was very it was lovely. I got to hang out with my friend and whatnot, but it was very melancholy. It was very challenging. Sitting in the car for many hours is the worst thing you could do for lower back pain. So getting out of the car was pretty much impossible each time, but eventually my back would warm up and this and that, whatever. And then I stayed at the Japanese Buddhist Monastery for 2 days, and it was extremely challenging. It was so strict from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. Basically, every move, every activity, every gesture, every movement has to be a certain way. There's one guy there that was like a monk that ran the place, and there was one other guy similar to me just visiting. And so it was really intense. The guy was just like constantly watching every one of my moves, telling me, showing me how to do it correctly, and ultimately scolding me for not doing it correctly. And within 24 hours, he was like yelling at me, like getting mean about it, and it was very challenging. And so yeah, basically in that environment, all your personal freedom is relinquished. It's about the collective, not the individual, which I was on board with. Um, Again, I was up for the challenge, and the whole time I was going through this, I was telling myself, here we go. This is the challenge you've been waiting for, you've been wanting. And it got really, really, really difficult. Because I'm also meditating at the Japanese monastery, and you have to sit cross legged, which I don't have a whole lot of experience doing because my body's just really stiff and whatnot. So that was painful, just extremely painful. But I pushed through it. So it was very satisfying. I'm very proud that I did it. And the next day, I ended up leaving super early this morning. I was going to leave after lunch, but I realized it'd be better if I left early, and I really just didn't want to deal with any more of that guy's shit. So we didn't put up a big fight about it. But that next day, after going through all that and having such a difficult week, and then being relinquished from that prison, basically, that it was, uh, and to have like full reign over anything and everything I did and where I went and when and how, after having so many of my personal freedoms being restricted, was just so liberating. And it was an amazing day. I went to the coast, just kind of like drove along the coast, stopping here, there, whatever. And I left at like 5 a.m. So I was on the road for a couple hours, and it was still dark. And as I got to the coast, the light was starting to come up a little bit. So I was, stopping here and there, and then I got to this vista point, and so I hiked down about 10 minutes, and I sat, and it was pretty cold. It was only about 8 a.m. The sky had light in it, and I'm sitting there, and I set my alarm. I was gonna meditate for 10 minutes on a bench, and it was just like a bench, some grass in front of me, a cliff, and then the ocean. And it was just really nice and super peaceful and open. And so I started meditating, and I started thinking about how people reflect on, hindsight is, people say, oh, hindsight's 2020, like, well, you should have thought, too bad you didn't think about it, in the moment, but it's always after the fact when things make sense. But I was just thinking about how people say that as certain way, but really it's like it's so powerful to think like, if you think back, you can see everything with 20/20 vision, like perfect clarity. Like that is so powerful. And so I'm having this like kind of revelational like thought, and then I feel like warmth on this side of my body. I'm like, oh, that's the sun. Sun's coming up, because at that point you couldn't see the sun anywhere. It was the light was just coming up. I couldn't see the sun. I was kind of just I was on the cliff, and then there's a huge mountain behind me. It's blocking the sun, and so I feel the sun is getting warm, and I can smell like the sand, the ocean sand. And then my timer went off. It had only been 10 minutes, and I opened my eyes, and it as if like everything was splashed with color. The ocean was now blue. The grass in front of me was super green, and the sky was blue. And and the sun had just poked its head out over the mountain, and it was just like one of the most magical moments I've had. And I thoroughly believe, because I was in such a challenging state that whole week, and it crescendoed, particularly the previous day. It just got more and more and more and more and more and more challenging. I pushed through. I never at one point gave up, and I felt like that comparison and contrast was the result. I feel like appreciation is born out of deprivation, and so because I went, you truly like that is that's satisfaction right there, satisfaction acquired. So that was just like an absolutely beautiful moment that I wanted to share. And then to leave it on a light note, I was driving home on my way back today, and I was driving along, and I see a sign, and it says "Be good," and the next sign says "He knows." And right off the bat, I'm like, ugh, fucking Jesus, showing his self-righteous face again. And then right after that was like a little statue of Santa Claus. I was like, oh, okay. Hey, Santa. So that's it. That's my video. 9 minutes. Wow, that went really quick. I was wanting it to only be a few minutes. Anyway, watch it. I'm glad you clearly got this far. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Send me a video or not. That's totally cool too. All right. Bye.